that.
It's Season 2, Episode 13 of the Hall of Fame show. Lucky number 13, Evan.
Lucky number 13. Well, it's 13 number 2. Is this actually to make this number 169? It's like 13 squared or whatever? I don't know.
Well, your math is better than mine because I have to think about that. If 13 squared is 169. Oh, yes, it is. Look at me. Wow. I'm awesome. Who says that math never becomes useful later on in life? I just proved it does.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not a full week, but of course it is. We've got the WWE Hall of Fame again to talk about because they added 11 new names. God, they're so organized. And we'll play another game where hopefully you don't finish third.
I feel like the WWE is making up for Major League Baseball not electing anybody.
You're giving Vince McMahon far too much credit for planning. I said on Twitter...
No, I just want to rip on the baseball writers again.
Oh, okay, why not? I've been calling Vince McMahon Al Davis on Twitter. Genius in the first half of his life and just a doddering old Neanderthal moron in the second half. Mm-hmm. I feel that there's parallels. Even though Vince is making money, I think it's almost in spite of himself. I really do. So we've got that. We've got a bit of talk about, and good talk, about the Cincinnati Bengals. And then we have our usual segments. Elevator up, elevator down. I have a down this time. And you're good, the bad, and the ugly. I don't know who they are, so it should be sort of interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. So I guess I want to open up with the Bengals. And my God, I feel like...
As we always do.
Exactly. I almost feel like maybe they're listening to us, because how many times have you and I said that it's really hard for the Pro Football Hall of Fame to really take any of their players seriously when they don't celebrate their own? And out of the blue, this morning, as we're recording this, so we record on Thursdays, next week, Wednesdays, the Bengals said they're going to have a Ring of Honor. They've announced 2 people in it automatically. Paul Brown, the first ever coach who went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame actually before he became their coach, and Anthony Munoz, the only person who's a Bengal player, who's like a real Bengal player, who's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And the way they're deciding it for the next 2, which will be announced this year, I believe. In May, they're going to put out a ballot, and then they're going to send it off to all the Bengals season ticket holders and suite holders. So, not necessarily to the general public, but to, obviously, Bengals fans. So, that's a pretty good fan base. I'm happy to see it. And for that, do we have anybody that you want to see them pick? I know that I do.
I mean, I think we have 3 right off the top of our heads that I think we completely agree on. I know that 2 of them are less, well, I don't know. I guess they're all maybe borderline candidates, although I think Ken Anderson is well above borderline. But Ken Anderson, Ken Riley, and Willie Anderson. Ken Anderson is just a combination of the other 2. Those 3 guys should be at the top of the list for me.
And that's sort of what I hope is going to transpire. I'm hoping that Bengal Nation, do they call themselves Bengal Nation? The Jungle? I don't know what Bengals fans sort of collectively call themselves.
Who Dey. They and the Saints, for some reason, are Who Dey.
Well, the Saints are Who Dat.
Who Dat. So it's Who Dey then for the Bengals.
So I'm hoping that collectively they just really jump on 2 people and just push those 2. And this is the first step to something that could be awesome. No surprise here. All legendary Cincinnati Bengals, and yes, there are some, are my elevator up. Because their chance.
Who you got?
Well, no, Ken Anderson.
Oh, all right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, Ken Anderson.
Ken Anderson's number 1?
Yeah, definitely. I think Ken Anderson, then Ken Riley, then Willie Anderson. I hope Willie Anderson will get another look from the football hall next year. But Ken Anderson, I think if the Bengals fans do what you and I suspect they're going to do, it also puts him back into public consciousness. We don't hear much from Ken Anderson. He's not.
No, not at all.
I don't even know. Did he? What did he do after his playing career? I have no clue.
I don't know either. I'll look it up. Ken Anderson,
yes,
football quarterback. Go ahead, keep going. I can keep going.
Yeah. So that is the person who I'm hoping just the name sort of comes out. It might be someone that they could look again for the veteran slot, which is criminally neglected, but it can't hurt him. It can only help him. It can only help Willie Anderson, and it can only help Ken Riley. I mean, these are the three guys who have to be getting a look. I was originally going to go with elevator up before, just like really almost anyone associated with the Final Four on both the men's and women's sides, but this is far more interesting to me. Just the future possibilities, and possibly this will result in a couple jersey retirements. If they're really serious about this for Anderson, and I think this is a step towards that, maybe in 2 years from now, you retire his number. When you've got a full crowd at a Bengals-Browns game. Or if the Niners are in town. Which I don't know when that's going to happen.
Yeah,
next.
I mean, the thing is, though, like number 14 with the Bengals was worn by Andy Dalton for however long Andy Dalton was there. So that number, I guess, already is with two quarterbacks on that team. And I'm not comparing Andy Dalton and Ken Anderson. Ken Anderson is certainly a better player. But they need to at least – it's just good to see the Bengals franchise, which is like the franchise that has supported their players the least for post-career accolades, actually get their acts together and do this more than anything.
No, absolutely. And this is a suffering fan base. And for all the jokes made about the Bengals, and you and I have said it, this is still a team that's been to the Super Bowl twice. And there's a lot of teams that can't say that.
Not like the Browns.
like the Browns, like my beloved Saints. Granted, they won their one appearance, but they've only been there once. What are other teams? The Jaguars, a team I like to rip on periodically, but we'll see what happens with Trevor Lawrence. I love this. I love everything about it. I am thrilled. I saw some of the people on Twitter who are Bengals fans just, really happy about the direction that they're taking. And when you celebrate your history, and it doesn't matter to me that they haven't won a Super Bowl, they've done more than enough that you can have a Ring of Honor. And it's not out of place. And I'm happy. I'm very happy about this. More happy than I think I should be, considering I have no attachment to this team whatsoever.
Yeah, it's good for them. Like we always say, every team complains that the Pro Football Hall of Fame hates them, and they're all wrong except for the Bengals.
Yep.
So this is certainly a step in the right direction.
No, absolutely. So that's my elevator up. My elevator down, because I do have one, it's a little bit obscure. I think it's a little bit obscure. I'm going to go at somebody who decided to sign with the Buffalo Sabres in the offseason. And then you had to wonder, why? So, Taylor Hall, this is for you. I just love that. Taylor Hall. I got to watch him play a few times when I was living in Alberta. Really fast skater, just really, really good hockey player, but not lately. Now, I know he's playing for the Sabres. And I can't say that I've watched him this year, because I don't know anyone who's watched a Sabres game this year. They're an awful, awful team. But you know how many goals he's got this year so far, and he hasn't missed any time, or any significant time, I don't believe, due to injury. I don't know if you have that up, but... So in 37...
I'm guessing it's like low single digits.
2.
That would be low single digits.
That would be low single digits. Taylor Hall is a former Hart Trophy winner, and there are 3 former Hart Trophy winners who are not in the Hockey Hall of Fame, and they're not going to be. Jose Theodore, a Ranger who won it in 1942, whose name is escaping me. And who was the third? I had this up. What's this guy's name? Tommy Anderson, Al Rollins of the Blackhawks, and Jose Theodore. Theodore probably should have won the Hart. Anderson in 1942, all the Canadians were not there, or a lot of the good Canadian players weren't there because they were serving in World War II. So it was a weird championship. And Al Rollins, I think it was just pity. The Blackhawks were so bad. I think he had 9 goalie wins that year, and I guess they figured without him they would have 0 wins. Like it was that bad. Taylor Hall is on pace to be Hart Trophy winner number 4, who does not get into the Hockey Hall. I've been looking at really his decline, and he's not even 30 yet. So this is really, really alarming, just how far down he's gone. And I think when we look back at his Hart Trophy win, he probably shouldn't have won it. So it was in the 2017-18 season. He had 93 points, which doesn't seem like a lot, but in the modern NHL, it's not too bad. He didn't win the Ted Lindsay Award, which is given by the players. That went to Connor McDavid, who only finished 5th, but actually won the scoring title. Mm-hmm. This was his only year that he ever got a Hart Trophy vote. Not just winning the Hart Trophy, he never even got a vote, period. That was also the only time he's been a postseason All-Star. He's certainly not going to be one this year. There's 0 chance of that. He's averaging, he's still got 17 assists, but he's hovering around that half point per game. That's not good. It's pretty goddamn bad.
That's not good.
This is for a player his age at his perceived skill level. I don't know where he goes from here. I don't know. I don't see a second half boom of his career. As much as I sort of study, athletes, players, and whatnot, this is like he could be out of the league and out of hockey in 3 years if this keeps up. He also doesn't have the international things to back it up. He's got 2 World Hockey Championships, but he's never been on an Olympic team. I don't know that there's even going to be 2022 Olympics with the NHL players. Hell, there might not even be an Olympics at all if there's a boycott, which your country's talking a bit about.
Yeah, that's a whole weird thing. I haven't seen. I saw a quick headline on that, boycotting the 2022 Winter Games, which are being held in China. That Biden's discussing it with allies. So I don't know exactly what is going on with that, but yeah, I saw that briefly. So
that's not impossible that could happen, especially if, not that we want to go too much into politics, but if you're pushing a progressive agenda on human rights in your own country, I don't know how you support something in China that is, I don't think I'm exaggerating to say this by saying it's 100 times worse.
Yeah,
but that's it. Maybe we'll save that discussion for another time. Because I guess we're go ahead.
I need to know more about all the thoughts behind it. Like I said, I only saw that very, very briefly.
Yeah, and
what they're going to do. I will say I did see that the U.S. Olympic Committee did not want that to happen.
Oh, of course not.
So we'll see exactly what all that means.
Yeah. So Hall needs something. Obviously, being a Sabre isn't it. His contract's a 1-year deal, so presumably he'll be somewhere else next year, but maybe for far less money. He signed a 1-year deal for $8 million, which for someone of his skill level a little while ago isn't that much. So he bet on himself.
No, particularly at his age.
Yeah, so this is really scary to me. And when I was doing other research on it, there was a lot of talk that maybe he's not going to be the other one. Corey Perry also won the Hart, and he's not exactly screaming Hall of Fame either. But he's 35. He's still producing right now better than Taylor Hall is. He's at that 800-point mark. So the standards for points in this era has changed. And he does have a World Hockey Championship and 2 Olympic golds. And we know the international stuff matters.
Yeah, that is true. Yes, it matters very much. So
yeah, so Taylor Hall, Jesus, I don't know. I can't comment on anything he did this year because, again, who's watching the Sabres this year?
Whoever is potentially going to go number 1 in the draft.
Oh, God, yeah. Here's their choice of Buffalo or Ottawa. And I love Ottawa. Just that's my team. But, Jesus, I can't say that I've watched a lot of that this year either. So, yeah, that is who I sort of looked at. I thought it might just sort of be fun not to sort of like look at sort of individual lawsuits to Deshaun Watson, which we've already talked about. Just sort of look at.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot. So.
We have, and there's nothing really more that we can dissect here. Maybe when something more concrete comes out, we'll talk about it then. But
yeah, I will say one thing quickly. Yeah. I will say one thing quickly. It's this weird today or this week that Rusty Harden had like a whole bunch of masseuses who hadn't accused him come out and say that he had nothing wrong with them. And, like, it was just, like, first of all, this dude has had somewhere on the order of, like, 300 masseuses, which is, first of all, a little strange to me. But it's just like now just a battle of he's a good guy, he's a bad guy, he's a good guy. Like, the whole thing is just, it is the biggest circus ever, and it's a complete disservice to the way it's being handled. It's a complete disservice to basically Watson, to the women, to society as a whole. Like, this whole thing is a mess. So, again, that's all I want to say. It's like, we'll leave it alone. We've talked about it the last 3 weeks. Let's just let it marinate in its own terrible juices, I guess, to figure out what's going on before we go back to it. So, give it a week off. But something that's happening, by the way, that's just trending over Twitter, It looks as though DMX just passed away.
Oh, shit. Okay, you know what? Let's talk about it.
I have no idea. I have no idea if that is true officially because you know how Twitter goes, but apparently it looks as though there are multiple people who aren't the family but around the family who have been posting it. I saw this afternoon that he was brain dead and showed no improvement. But it looks like DMX just passed. Well,
you know what? Maybe we should discuss that because I figured we were going to be talking about that sooner or later because it looked like he wasn't going to pull through. DMX. I don't know if it was Chris Rock who said this. Needless to say, I didn't prepare for this week. But I think he said that DMX at one point looked like he was going to be like the most important rapper of that time and should have been on that trajectory to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He might not have said that exactly, and I might be sort of like pushing that towards, but DMX was a very, very big deal for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He could have
yeah.
It's as though just drugs are just. It's an awful thing once you're caught in their grasp.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. So the demons he went through, the creativity that he lost, and the legacy that he didn't have. This doesn't feel necessarily as tragic as it should. Because he's been on this path for a long, long time. DMX, to me, also felt like one of those rappers, because he wasn't exactly the greatest linguist. He wasn't the best. He didn't have the best diction. But there was that rough voice that he had. It's just sounded. It was tough and clear, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I have to say, like, outside of rap too, like, he was in a bunch of movies. I think I've said before when I was in law school, we had like long school days or long days of classes the first year except for Thursdays, where we were basically done at noon. And so a bunch of people from my section I went to Suffolk University, which is right in the center of downtown Boston. And there's the Lowe's Theater, the big theater in Boston, 3 blocks away. So we'd all go over as a group and try and watch what we thought was the worst film in the theater as a group for the matinee, like just as a complete palate cleanser. And so one of the movies we went to go see was Cradle to the Grave. I was out there, and that was by far the best bad movie we saw. And it was all just because DMX was just like magnetic. He was so fun and just, I wanted to hang out with his character. And for a while, we were all answering. There's a point in the phone where Jet Li calls him. He goes, "Oh, so it's badass." And so from then on for like months, whenever any of us would call each other, that was how we all answered the phone. Anyway, completely off topic. But I mean, he was more than just a rapper. He was all around. I mean, rap clearly is what the track you're talking about, but just the acting and everything else before he kind of just hit the skids with all this stuff. So
yeah, I'm just looking here. So he had like massively successful. His first 5 albums went number 1, and that's not in the rap genre, like number 1 period. Then went number 2 with an album, Year of the Dog, again in 2006. Then didn't put out anything for 6 years. And by that point, it was just he was just forgotten. And became a bit of a punchline, like almost as what not to do. This is... And I'll be really interested to see some of the tributes that sort of come out. Maybe we'll talk about that a bit more next week. But yeah, R.I.P. DMX. That's
if that is the case. He's at least apparently showing no brain activity. That was this afternoon, and things had not improved. I do think one of the, if there is any possible nice thing that came out of this coma at all, it's just all the stories, because he just seemed like a very kind and generous guy to a lot of people. But all the stories that were coming out over Twitter, like there was one, there were so many interesting things on. They had a whole thing on how he got into raising orchids, which is not something you expect from DMX, and like all sorts of different things about him that people just appreciated him for. And if he is gone and all the stuff on Twitter is correct, it's awful. So,
that's the thing about a lot of these people who become addicts of some type. They love a lot of people, but they hate themselves in some subconscious way.
That is true.
And that could be what we have here.
I was going to say, DMX, like, he had I don't know. Go ahead, just finish.
That's pretty much what I wanted to say there. I think maybe we can go a little bit more in depth next week, I think. But yeah, this is... yeah. I mean, we knew this was coming.
Yeah.
Hate to say.
Yeah, we didn't know it was coming. So, is this a good time for me to go into my death troll?
You know what? I think, yeah. There's not going to be, I don't want to say a better segue, but yeah.
So, all right. So let's just do this, get out of the way. We didn't have any massive names this week. We had a lot of sort of interesting people who passed away, including a lot of Hungarians. Only 2 of whom were Olympic athletes. So the page business is busy. There was also a couple of political leaders, an actor, a director. They're like a whole bunch of them. But the 2 passed away. There was Laurent Milicin, who was a Hungarian hurdler who competed in the 1972 Summer Olympics, passed away at the age of 73. And Antal Kiss, who won the silver medal in the 1968 Olympic Games in Mexico City in the 50-kilometer speed walking event. So,
I shouldn't laugh, but every time I
50
watch speed walking, I chuckle. It's the silliest thing I've ever seen visually.
Yeah, it is. It is really crazy. 50 kilometers is a lot of speed walking, though. That had to take a long time.
You can imagine, though, like, there's officials who are trained to say, "No, you ran! You ran!"
I know. And, all right, just for our American folks who don't understand kilometers, 50 kilometers is a little over 31 miles, which is longer than a marathon. And you're not allowed to run it. Imagine how long that event must have taken.
I don't want to know.
6 hours, 8 hours? I'm not going to go look it up either. But, like, I mean, come on. That's crazy. So.
I wonder how someone gets into speed walking.
So I don't know.
Yeah, enough of
that. Let me see. I actually just clicked on it for the men, women. Hold on. Find race. Let's say walk. Let me see if I can find. Okay, road events, 50-kilometer walk, men. He did it in 4 hours, 30 minutes, and 17 seconds.
That sounds pretty impressive.
Now, that is actually not bad. The winner was Christoph Höhne of East Germany, who did in 4 hours, 20 minutes, and 13 seconds, beating him by 10 full minutes. Third place went to a gentleman from the United States named Larry Young, just a little over a minute behind on Tall Kiss. So, last place was 5 hours, 56 minutes, and 22 seconds for Ricardo Cruz of El Salvador. Well, they're also one person was disqualified, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 did not finish the race.
I'm sure he was disqualified. You skipped.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. All right.
Probably.
All right. Who else?
Anyway.
Who else passed away?
We also lost the 1968 gold medal winning powerlifter Viktor Koretsnov from the Soviet Union. He passed at the age of 80. We lost the forefather of the Irons family from the NFL, Gerald Irons Sr., who was played 10 seasons in the NFL with the Raiders and Browns, basically from 70 to 79. One of the 100 greatest Browns of all time, according to a survey they did back when were back in Cleveland when they came up with that about 10 years ago. But his son Grant Irons played for the Raiders. His nephew David Irons, Kenny Irons, and Paul Irons have all also played in the NFL. So he passed away earlier this week at the age of 73 after a long battle with Parkinson's disease. We also lost a few folks from the world of music, including Paul Humphrey, the lead singer of Canadian new wave band Blue Peter.
Oh no! Yeah, they had the. I only think they had the one hit that I remember.
Yeah, but he passed away. He was 61. It said after a long illness. I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly what the illness was, but he passed away. The lead singer Paul Humphrey of Blue Peter earlier.
You know who used to open up for Blue Peter when they were on tour?
Who?
Blue Balls.
All right. We also keyboardist from Utopia and Paul Rundgren, who was the lead singer of Utopia. Ralph Schuckett passed away at the age of 73. He also composed the theme song for Pokemon, the first movie, among other things. And we also bassist for War, B.B. Dickerson. passed away. Someone who could have been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame had some votes gone differently.
Multiple times.
B.B. Dickerson, yeah, they've been nominated a bunch. But Dickerson, vocals, one of the many people who sings in Why Can't We Be Friends by War, because each one of those verses is taken by somebody different. But he, bass player, vocalist for the band the first 10 years, from 69 to 79, but he passed away at the age of, hold on, it was B.B. Dickerson, 71 earlier this week. We also lost a few people from the world of magazines, which I know is kind of weird. But Joy Hummel passed away, who is one of the first ever female comic book artists. She didn't get credit for it, actually. At the age of 19, she started to ghostwrite Wonder Woman stories. And she was involved with comics for a long time. She passed the age of 97. But since she was a woman, they would not give her credit for having written in the comic books.
Even though it was for Wonder Woman?
Even though it's for Wonder Woman, yep.
That's stupid.
There's also Ann Beats, American comedy writer, the first female director of National Lampoon.
Oh, okay.
Passed away this week at the age of 74. She's all over the place in terms of what she wrote with and who she wrote and wrote about and everything, or wrote with, and it's just another one of the trailblazers in comedy for women. One of the few people who got in charge of something and able to direct it for a while. Yeah. And I do have to say one other person. Do you know who Frank Jacobs was?
Nope.
He was the main writer and satirist for Mad Magazine for 60 years. Pretty much all the jingles that they have in, or all the songs that the words got changed and everything for Mad Magazine for years and years and years for Frank Jacobs stuff. I actually use one. My daughter, when she goes to bed, listens to old school Christmas songs. And there's Frank Sinatra singing I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. And to this day, I still have Frank Jacobs' lines, I'm screaming at some wild chipmunks in my head. And I brought that up with my daughter, and now she's like, I can't unhear it. And I'm like, I know. I read that when I was 8, and I still can't get it out of my head. But he was pretty much one of the main geniuses, the three of them, he and Jaffe and I can't think of the other guy's name right now, behind Mad Magazine. He was the youngest of them, passing at 91. Jaffe, I think, is 99 now. He's still going.
All right, then so you have to watch A Futile and Stupid Gesture on Netflix.
Exactly. Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Natasha Lyonne plays that character.
I'm sorry, you broke up.
Oh, I was saying Natasha Lyonne plays the character that the person you just mentioned for Anne who died.
Oh, okay, cool. I will definitely look it up. We lost a Hall of Famer from the world of horse racing, Alice Headley Chandler, who bred Sir Ivor, who was a very well-known horse in the late 60s. She passed away at the age of 95. And then we had a couple of actors who passed away, who I thought were noteworthy. One was Gloria Henry, who passed away at the age of 98. Best known as, do you remember the original Dennis the Menace cartoon in black and white? Or not cartoon, TV show? Did you ever watch that?
No. I mean, I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Okay. I used to watch a lot of Nick at Night when I was a kid. But that was Dennis the Menace's mom from that show. Passed away at the age of 98. And most importantly for us, James Wade Hampton passed away at the age of 84.
Why do I know that name?
He's best known as the original caretaker from The Longest Yard.
Oh, shit. Okay, wasn't he also the dad in Teen Wolf?
He was the dad in Teen Wolf, correct. And he was private, I can't remember his name, in F Troop. among other things.
Damn. He was 80. My God. I guess so. I mean, what, Teen Wolf is 1984. My God, I'm old.
Yeah, we both are. There was a French race car driver who passed away, and like he won some race back in 1995. And I was like, oh, that's not long ago. How old was he? He was like 74. I was like, oh my God, wait a second. 95 was actually like 25 years ago now, 26 years ago. So, he had a very, very long career, James Hampton, and it was involved in a whole bunch of stuff with us. But I think he's probably most likely to get in one of our Hall of Fames, the fictitious athlete Hall of Fame, as a contributor, as caretaker. Although he gets to again as Teen Wolf, as what's Scott's dad from Teen Wolf, but I'd say caretaker is more likely.
I would say so, but you never know. Teen Wolf is one of those like when votes come in, it's very streaky. Must be shown on some kind of TV show or some or channel, or maybe not. Who the hell watches regular TV anymore?
I don't know. So he was also in Police Academy 5, Assignment Miami Beach. So don't want to leave that out.
I can't say I remember that one at all.
That should have been called The Final Insult as opposed to Naked Gun 33 1/3. So anyway, so that's who I got this week.
Yeah, I can segue easily out of that too, because the WWE had their legacy. They had their Hall of Fame ceremony, or I guess they recorded it some time ago, and they aired it Tuesday. I haven't watched it, and I don't plan to. Just too much good stuff on, and with it not being, with all the speeches sort of being truncated anyway, there wasn't really a whole lot of urgency to it. But what they did do, again, proof that they don't plan shit. They announced on that 10 Legacy Wing inductees, which are basically people who are dead and haven't wrestled, God, in many cases, decades. So, and to make it even stupider, right, because there was no 2020 ceremony, they said, well, here we have 5 from 2020 and 5 from 2021. Like it matters.
Yeah, right.
Like, you just announced it during the show. So, here's the fun game that everyone wants to play. Does Evan know who these are?
Do we need a theme song?
The only one I have queued up is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
All right, so let's do Does Evan know who these are? Okay, there we go.
Perfect. All right. And these are all over the place. Some of these are bona fide legends who do belong, and some do not. First one is the Crippler, Ray Stevens.
The only Ray Stevens I know is the comedy legend. So I am unfamiliar with Ray Stevens, of course, comedy legend, the one who wrote I Am My Own Grandpa, among other things. So I do not think he was the Crippler, however.
He was not the Crippler. Ray Stevens was an excellent wrestler, major star in San Francisco, tag partner of Pat Patterson, who recently passed away, that we talked about. It was actually, he was almost pegged to be in the Hall of Fame a few years ago when they had the WrestleMania in San Francisco, and it looked like they were going to do that. Pat Patterson was pushing for it, and then Vince decided not to. But here he is now. Ray's since passed away a long time ago, but would have meant a lot to Pat. Mm-hmm. All right, so number 2, Brickhouse Brown.
I have the inspiration for the 70s disco hit.
Probably the opposite. He probably took his name from that. Black wrestler.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, black wrestler from the late 70s, early 80s. To my knowledge, he never even wrestled in the WWE, but they always want to induct a black person.
Fair enough.
I don't believe he was a main event wrestler anywhere. He might have been. But if so, not in front of a lot of people. This one's very interesting. Dr. Death, Steve Williams.
Dr. Death, as far as I know, is Dave Dravecki. So, no, I do not know who Steve Williams' Dr. Death is.
Steve Williams would definitely beat the shit out of Dave Dravecki, but around the same era. Legit badass from University of Oklahoma. Played football there. Was also on the wrestling team. Major star in Japan in the 90s. Then the WWF signed him in 1998. And so they were going to put him in a program with Stone Cold Steve Austin, at the height of that whole era. So it should have been big money. Except here's what they did. Mm-hmm. At a time when they almost did nothing wrong in terms of getting people to watch, they did something colossally wrong. They came up with a tournament called Brawl for All, where they had 16 wrestlers compete in actual fighting matches. 3 2-round matches with big giant gloves, but you couldn't do takedowns or whatnot. The whole thing was colossally stupid. But they figured Dr. Death would legit win. The thing is, it was all legit, which is even more idiotic, because then why the hell would you say, okay, well, they're fighting for real on a wrestling program? Because doesn't it make the wrestling matches look stupid? Anyway.
Yeah, it's not the smartest thing I've ever heard.
No, it was... Not only was it stupid, people got hurt, including Dr. Death, who tore his quad or tore something, got knocked out, and then pretty much killed a potential $1 million program against Steve Austin. Because he got knocked out in the second round. By a guy named Bart Gunn, who won the whole thing, and then the WWF was so pissed, this is my theory anyway, they had him fight for real again at WrestleMania against Butterbean, if you remember him. Or maybe you don't, because you're not a boxing guy.
I remember Butterbean.
Okay. All right.
Of course I remember Butterbean.
Okay. All right, so Butterbean knocked out Bart Gunn in a minute. And then somebody figured out, based on the lineal championship of the Brawl for All and losses that sort of transpired, the current Brawl for All lineal champion is actually Floyd Mayweather.
That's like one of those trade trees where you figure out everybody got off of one transaction.
Yeah.
Interesting. So Floyd Mayweather is the champion of the Brawl for All. Interesting.
Which I guess means he's defending that against, what is it, Logan Paul? Or which Paul? Jake Paul?
Oh, God.
So, yeah, the Brawl... So when you're... if you watch that, all you kids listening, that is also for the Brawl for All title. Yeah. Then we have... All right, Baron Michelle Leone.
I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, I barely do too. He wrestled in L.A. in the 50s or something. Gary Hart.
Wait, Gary Hart? Like the disgraced politician Gary Hart?
No.
Oh. So this, by the way, that's one of my favorite idiot politicians of all time. Gary Hart, who was running for president in 1988, was the front runner on the Republican side, was being accused of sexual infidelity, and from his wife had said, "It's not happening. You can follow me wherever you want," and then immediately went somewhere with someone who's not his wife.
Yep. Yeah, and then
anyway.
he was almost. What was that? Yeah, it was 88. Going back to that, just to sort of like put that in terms. His scandal would not have been in the top 100 of Trump's leading into 2016. That's how we've come as a society. Either degraded or upgraded? I don't know. I'm not really sure. I never really cared if my politicians cheated on their wives, frankly, or husbands.
Yeah.
I don't think they should, but it's not that... whatever. Nobody cares about that. But yeah, it's not the same guy. He was a manager in Texas and apparently a booker, whatever. Then 5 other more. Let's see if you know any of these. This was the name that he wrestled under, and it makes me laugh because I'm very immature. Dick the Bruiser.
Is that just Dick Butkus's actual name for wrestling? No.
That would have worked. Same era. This guy was like a massive star in your area, neck of the woods now, in Chicago, Indianapolis, the Midwest. Major star. But yeah, Dick the Bruiser. I don't understand how that. I guess though, when he looked as tough as he did, and the best way I can sort of describe it, if Popeye came to life, but everything was as big as his forearms. Like, this guy's chest might have had its own orbit. And that was like back before the PEDs and shit. But yeah. All right. So we have another one. Pistol Pez Watley.
I can't even begin. I don't have a joke for that one. I don't know.
Basically another guy like Brickhouse. Black wrestler, had a few runs and smaller promotions. When he did get to WWE, he lost every match. But that they want to make sure that they're spreading that love, I suppose. There's another curious one here. Buzz Sawyer.
I'm pretty sure he was Chuck Yeager's backup pilot.
No. No, yeah. This guy, I think, was wrestled in the 80s, died at 33. Overdose or something. Apparently he was a total asshole from what other people have said, so real bully too, so real interesting choice. This person I know you don't know because I never heard of her. Ethel Johnson.
She was the fourth Andrew's sister.
Nice.
I figured if I was doing a Chuck Yeager mention, I might have to go further back in history for our younger audience.
Why not?
So.
I was not familiar with her at all. Apparently, they say on her Wikipedia bio that she was the first black women pro wrestler. So, okay, cool.
All right,
that's definitely a trailblazer of sorts. 10th one is Paul Bosch.
I don't know Paul Bosch either.
Yeah, it's a promoter in Houston when Houston was a really big territory many moons ago. All 10 of these people are dead. Amazingly, still alive is the celebrity inductee that was announced since our last discussion, Ozzy Osbourne, who was in the corner of the British Bulldogs at WrestleMania 2. Again, WrestleMania 2 that had all these celebrities. He later appeared as
Gordon Liddy and Ozzy Osbourne in the same event. Wow.
Good memory. Yes. Ozzy was in the corner of the Bulldogs when they won the title, and many years later, he was a guest host when they did the guest host in 2009. I was thinking, like, there's no way he probably because he probably remembered anything he did in 1986, and because of everything he did in the 80s, I'm sure he doesn't remember anything he did in 2009.
Yeah. And his wife wishes she didn't remember anything she did in the last month and a half.
Oh, God. Jesus Christ. Well, I mean, I don't really know what I can comment on that situation other than it's a person who made a comment on a show I don't watch about a couple I don't give a crap about regarding another show host that I don't watch. I'll leave it at that.
So you care a lot.
No, not in the least. I don't. I didn't really pay attention to really what she said, other than it seemed a little insensitive. But again, I don't care about the royal family one iota.
Mm.
I don't know. Any comments on that?
On British royal family?
Sure.
No.
Okay. Actually, while I'm here, This should be fun. Here's a list. All right. Every WrestleMania 2 celebrity. Holy crap.
Oh, okay.
All right. Ray Charles saying America the Beautiful.
I was going to say, do we have time for this?
We're not going to play a game with that one. I just think it's just.
I was kidding. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so Ray Charles singing America the Beautiful. Susan St. James doing the commentary for the New York portion. There was 3 portions. The special guests were for the guest judges, G. Gordon Liddy, Daryl Dawkins, and Cab Calloway.
Oh, it's chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, whoa. G. Gordon Liddy, Daryl Dawkins, and Cab Calloway?
Yes.
You gave me that. If that was on Jeopardy and it showed up with those 3 names, I could legitimately just put 3 people who have never been in the same room. Is like 3 completely different, worlds, time periods. That's weird. All right, continue.
I thought you were going to go full Cliff Clavin and say, these are 3 people who have never been in my kitchen.
Yes, I did think about that. Although I did enjoy the guy this week who was trolling Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yeah. How did they kick that field
That
goal?
was kind of amazing.
That was. Ring announcer Joan Rivers in the corner of Mr. T, Joe Frazier. Herb was the guy from the Burger King commercials program. Yeah. I'm not even going to go into that. They had Herb from Burger King and then Claire Peller, the Where's the Beef lady.
Yep. Where's Beef lady? I remember her.
Yeah. Then all the football players we talked about last week. Then special commentator Kathy Lee Crosby. And then in the Los Angeles section, special referee was Robert Conrad. I don't remember what he did. Ring announcer was Tommy Lasorda. Timekeeper Ricky Schroeder, my doppelganger. And guest commentator Elvira, who still looks incredible.
The Mistress of the Dark.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so also I want to mention too, they had what they call a warrior reward for the Ultimate Warrior, sort of like to honor his legacy, which is really screwed up, considering that most of the other wrestlers hated him, and you can easily find on YouTube a whole giant homophobic rant. This is not where he uses the F word inappropriately. It's nothing like that. It's where he talks about how gays are evil. It's pretty disgusting. But they give that every year to someone who exemplifies and works behind the scenes in the company. And they had two of them, somebody who worked there 50 years, and Titus O'Neil, who's a pro wrestler, who is known for his philanthropy, just like an all-around great guy. No one will ever have anything. I know Titus O'Neil. Okay, yeah, no one will ever say anything bad about him. As for the Warrior, there's a lot of bad shit to say about this guy. And I'm done talking about wrestling. That's 3 weeks in a row. We'll save this for next year.
And you went last week how you didn't enjoy it. So
no, not like I used to. It's been a rough year too. My fandom has shrunk as a lot of other people's has. And with that, we have one final segment. And I don't know who these people are, so I'm pretty excited to learn about that. When Evan presents the good, the bad, and the ugly. I spare no expense to make this show the high quality program it is.
I appreciate that greatly, my friend. So for the first 2 actually are going to be Boston folks. So I apologize for that, but they both were appropriate. The good, I'm actually going to take today's starting pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, Eduardo Rodriguez. Rodriguez was supposed to be the opening day starter for the Red Sox last year, except for the fact he just developed COVID. And a case of COVID so bad, he had all sorts of heart issues at the age of 26. Excuse me. And so he basically was thinking he was going to have to retire from baseball, basically from the complications he had from COVID. And he got out there again for his first start. Sox ended up winning 7-3. But it was just good to see someone come back from something that was scary. A year ago this time, he wasn't sure whether his baseball career is going to continue or not. And he made it through his first start. Red Sox won. I don't think he actually got the win. I know he gave up 3 runs. I think when he left, the Sox were down 3-2. But good for him getting back in the rotation, back from something that's scary. I mean, that was one of the times when I really was like, is COVID scary or not? Sort of at that point when we figured out when I was like, well, the starting pitcher of the Boston Red Sox, who's by no means Eduardo Rodriguez is not a heavy guy, may never play baseball again because of a side effect. Maybe I should make sure I'm wearing a mask all the time. But it was great to see him back, and it's good when somebody can come back from something like that. So he gets my good for the week.
Nice.
My bad for the week is one of my favorite athletes that I've said multiple times, Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce.
Oh, no, this isn't bad.
Paul Pierce really wanted to leave NBA Countdown.
True.
That's the only explanation I possibly have for why you would ever post a picture of yourself smoking pot with strippers on Instagram situation that you are in as a person. He's going to get in the Hall of Fame later this year. I've heard rumors that he's going to be joining Barstool very quickly. And as soon as he got fired, he was like, hey, big things coming up. So it seemed like he just wanted out of his contract. It was just a very strange way to do it.
Is it, though?
Like, there had to be better ways than that.
What's more NBA than doing that? The only thing that would have been more NBA is if he would have had somebody come up and says and hand him a paternity suit.
The thing that was amazing to me is that Patrick Ewing wasn't with him, because that man loved the Gold Club in Atlanta more than anyone possibly in the history of the world. Yeah. So Paul Pierce, not the greatest look. And I do have to say, and the multitude of misogynist fans who saw that and say, hey, where's Rachel Nichols in the comments? You also deserve a bad, probably worse than Paul Pierce. Just stop it. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Was anyone, though, really surprised, though?
Yeah, I know. Rachel Nichols was trending on Twitter because of Paul Pierce's thing, and people commenting that an attractive woman who works with him clearly had to be one of the people in the pictures.
Which is
insane.
Well, what it is, it's just when something like that happens, there's like a million people, not a million, but there's thousands of people who think they're the first one to come up with that joke. But so be it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then who's the ugly?
The ugly, more than anything, is a Lifetime Achievement Award. I know we ripped on the NFL referee, referee who got fired, Tim Pool, right?
Oh, NHL.
A few weeks ago. The NHL referee. I would like to go to the single worst referee in sports, or single worst arbitrator in sports, Angel Hernandez in Major League Baseball. Angel Hernandez had a game last week where he was behind the plate, where he was accurate with his balls and strikes calls 83% of the time. He is single-handedly trying to get robot umpires in the league. He is awful at his job. And this week, he lost a court case in which, hold on, let me make sure I get it right here. He lost a court case. Hold on, there it is. He had a lawsuit against Major League Baseball in which he alleged racial discrimination for him not being chosen for postseason assignments, and essentially, what the court found was that the court concludes that no reasonable juror could find that MLB's stated explanation is a pretext for a discriminatory motive. Basically, it came down to that he just sucked. And the court found that he sucked. He is awful. He's worse than Joe West, and Joe West is one of the worst of all time. He is vindictive, he is petty, and he is terrible at his job. And somehow he's a crew chief in Major League Baseball, and they cannot get rid of him.
All right.
I just don't know what to do about him. He hasn't been assigned a World Series since 2005 and had been passed over for crew chief multiple times. He's actually named as an interim crew chief last July because of the pandemic and shortened season. But the dude is just awful at his job. He was, like, if you go back and look at the pitch chart, I think it was the Astros-Angels game. You go back and look at the pitch chart, he was calling strikes, things that are clearly strikes, balls. And he called one of the Astros hitters out on a pitch that was at least 8 inches outside.
Just a lot outside.
Yeah. Bob Uecker would be like, that's more than a little outside. Like, he's an embarrassment. He's an absolute embarrassment to Major League Baseball. And unions in general are a great thing, but at some point, he just has to go. They have to find a way to dump him because he's making the rest of them replaceable at this point.
Well, did you see what happened today in the Mets game?
Go ahead.
The Mets? Did you see what happened in the Mets game? So there's okay.
No, actually not.
Okay, so I'm not. I don't know who the umpire was, but bases loaded. Conforto leans into a pitch where it sort of
the hit by pitch today. Yes, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure which one. Yeah.
Where that's a real interesting one. I watched the replay again on that on John Boy Media, just a great YouTube channel, one of my favorites, next to this one, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And
we're second to none, my friend.
Absolutely. And they're not even sure really what to make of it with all of that, because he's clearly leaning right into it. It's debatable whether he even touched him or not, but umpires all around are just making a case for their abolition.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pitch right now. Hold on. There was a strike. He got hit by a strike.
Mm-hmm. And you can see he's clearly leaning his elbow into it. You know, kudos to him if he can get away with it, I suppose. Before we sort of sign off, one thing though, have you noticed there's been a lot more bat flips and just overall excitement with some of the younger players?
I have not, because I have not watched a minute of baseball this year.
Okay. When you get a chance to...
Not one.
These are the things that they sort of have to do. I know it's showing people up and whatnot, but you got to do fun things. You just have to. And... Mm-hmm. I've been watching a lot of baseball so far this year. I've been enjoying a lot of it. Proud to say that the Tampa Bay Jays or Dunedin Jays are doing okay in the state of Florida. I think they're the tops in the state right now. I'm not sure how things have sort of progressed against the Angels tonight.
Let's see. The Miami Marlins are 1-6. The Tampa Bay Rays are 2-4. And they are currently 3-4.
So they lost today. Okay.
lost their game in 11 innings to the Angels, 7-5.
All right, so they're still. So right now they win the state. You win state, you go to the you go national. I've seen that a lot of times. This has got to be true. Actually, no, I want to
first place Baltimore Orioles, my friend. First place Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? All right, this is where I'm going to close off. I've got a Revenge of the Nerds rant. We talk a lot about race and sports a lot, and one thing that always sort of like got to me, like forget the one thing where pretty much Lewis raped the girl, and then she fell in love with him, which is the most idiotic thing to really think about that, and really disturbing.
Right. Well. Right, but that was just 80s hijinks. Clearly, basically, if you go back and look at almost any of those 80s movies, that pretty much was 80s hijinks for all of these things. Yeah, most of the people in 80s movies are absolutely terrible. So,
this is very true. This is very true. Although, if you look back, one of the true bright spots there was actually Lamar, the gay character. Good heart, and he was the only one who could get a date without having to rape the person, I presume. I don't know. We didn't see that far. Anyway, the Adams College football team. John Goodman's giving that speech because I was just sort of like, remember that if we win the games, then we get a bowl game. Because they're going up against State, I think. If we beat State, then we go for their homecoming game. Okay. There wasn't one black player on that team. And they're all medium-sized white guys. The only one who had any size was Ogre. That fucking football team ain't beating anybody in Division I and going to any bowl game. It's not happening. Why did they do it? Just so they could have that bit at the end where they're all scared of a bunch of black guys who may not play football. Some of those guys were pretty small. I just realized how racist that movie is. Just a random thought. How the hell is that team beating anybody?
Okay.
That's all I got.
I don't know. I'm still upset about the Mighty Ducks that they had this entire hockey team for the United States, and there are more players from Las Vegas than there were from New England. So,
well, let's not even get into the fact that in the third movie they're facing the big rivals from Iceland.
Oh, come on. Iceland are the so easy to be evil. Come on. They're even spelled Iceland just I-S. Like, it's somehow intimidating that they didn't spell Iceland correctly. I don't know.
They couldn't have just picked any one of the 3 Scandinavian countries. Like,
how would you like to go back to where I found you? Alone, friendless, in Greenland. Sorry. Princess Bride come into my head. I don't know. It's just, it was just probably refreshing for the Germans that they picked another country at that point to be the bad guys. The Germans and the Russians were like, we get a movie off. So
at least the Russians are good at hockey. This was perfect for them. Shit, Ivan Drago foreshadowed a whole other thing that nobody saw coming. Remember, we all laughed in the 80s. Oh yeah, there's going to be 2 white guys fighting for the heavyweight championship. Until it became something regular. Who saw that coming in the 80s? I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, well. All right, I'm done. I got nothing more. I think we'll close it. Drago, the Mighty Ducks, and the Icelandic team, and Adams College that would never win one game, let alone get to a bowl game.
Well, just by the way, it appears there's many more confirmations about DMX online.
All right, so you know what? We'll close by dedicating the show to DMX, and I think I'm going to listen to some Rough Riders right now.
Go for it, man.
All right. Stay safe, everybody, and look for us next week for episode 14. What are we going to talk about? We don't know because we don't know what's going to happen yet, but it'll be entertaining.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the Patriots are going to probably announce their 3 finalists, if not this week, then next.
Awesome.
So at least that will be coming out. And one last thing, sorry, do you know when they're announcing the Rock Hall nominees?
Not sure, but
not nominees, inductees. Sorry,
I'm not positive, but I believe, if I remember off the top of my head, that voting on the Rock Hall can continue until the end of April. Not that those votes mean anything, but
right, yeah, okay. Just because it's usually we're already done at this point with all the voting and everything. So I was just wondering. I didn't know that off the top of my head.
Yeah,
so.
they very well could. They might know everything already, but yeah. So I'm guessing it's not this month at all.
Okay, cool. All right, man. I will talk to you next week.
All right, take care, everyone. Bye, Evan.